The reading from 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all those who longed for his appearing.
I'm so honored that Steve asked me to speak today at this celebration of his life, and I know he's watching us right now. And I know he wants me to get on with it so that he can watch the Michigan-Notre Dame game at 2:30. When someone you love passes away, it's easy to remember him as having been perfect, to speak only in superlatives, to inflate his accomplishments. Steve was a very humble man, and I want to honor that trait in him with this remembrance. My friend Steve was the funniest human in the history of the planet Earth or any other planet. Scientists were studying his laugh in hopes that its radiant quality could lessen our dependence on foreign oil. So wicked and so sharp was his sense of humor that the sound of laughter became a normal sound in cancer treatment centers around North Texas. And that's not an exaggeration. Tyra has written again and again about her sweet Steve, her super Steve. I'm here to tell you about my silly Steve. Start with a laugh. If you talked to him ever and he laughed, you saw it. Rapid machine gun exhale, squinted eyes, toothy grin, bobbing head. But if you really cracked him up, if you really, really tickled him, that was magic. First, thinking of the dinner party for his 40th birthday, he'd just stare at you for 5 seconds, and then this throaty exhale, wheeze would come out. Sounded like a pet shop, bird sounds just coming back in. Back in the days of high school and college when he had that hair, his head moved so much it looked like an angry porcupine was wrestling his face for control of his scalp. It was so goofy, and it was so unique, and it was so beautiful. It also was the reason that he and I watched most of our senior calculus class from the hallway. There were times in the last 21 months when I was certain that Miss England was going to come into his hospital room, grab me by the ear, and pull me out into the hallway. Tyra tells me Steve's favorite meal was steak with garlic mashed potatoes and asparagus. I think more than a few of you know that if you asked him, hey, can I bring you something to eat? He'd say, yeah, I'll have a Bloody Mary and a steak sandwich, and put it on Underhill. If you're laughing at that, you know that that was a line from the movie Fletch, which was his second language. He and I, and a few of you, could probably have an entire conversation, about something non-Fletch related, using only lines from that movie. It was a gift of his. In recent weeks, he started updating his Facebook page with status updates on whether or not he was wearing pants in his bed at home. Some of you have been wondering, and I can solve the mystery for you here today. The status update P equals Y meant pants equals yes. And the status update N, no pants. Steve was silly, and he was fun-loving, but Tyra's right as well. He was the single sweetest man on the face of the earth or any other planet. I wrote this story for Tyra's blog, but I hope you won't mind if I repeat it now. A few months before his symptoms began, Steve and I joined my cousin and his friends in Colorado for a relay race. It was 195 miles in the mountains from Fort Collins to Steamboat Springs. 12-person relay. We each ran 3 different legs. Now, Steve and I were clearly the least athletic members of the team, and we were not accustomed to the thin air up there. And the van we were in Well, we laughed a lot. So by the time it was time for us to run our last legs, we were pretty well gassed. I was on a long downhill stretch in the hot sun, and I told the guys in the van, hey, go on ahead 2 miles and meet me with some water. And I added, please. Watched the van go, and I expected it to just disappear, but it stopped about a half mile down the mountain. And I saw someone get out and start walking back up the mountain toward me, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. As I got closer, I saw that it was Steve, and he had a bottle of cold water for me. He figured I needed it sooner rather than later. And he was right. We walked a little bit together, and he was encouraging to me, and he told me some key phrases that I repeated over and over in my head, and that helped me get through that last run. 3 or 4 months later, when we had learned just how serious his condition was, I was on my way to the hospital to spend the night with him. And my pastor called me on the phone and prayed with me, and he encouraged me to be a cup of cold water for a friend in need. And the first thing I thought of was Steve coming up that mountain. I haven't been able to get rid of that image, and I don't want to. That's the kind of friend Steve was. He was the kind you prayed you could be in return. Here's something I did not write about on the blog from that trip. The minute Tyra drops us off at the airport, he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out an EARRING. Melanie, you got that? Earring. Okay. He puts it in. It's the first time I'd seen him wear it in years, maybe even before the kids were born, I'm not sure. I just looked at him like, dude, how old are we? For the rest of the trip, I just called him Steve Denver. Oh, hey, check out Steve Denver. Well, when we got home, he did not do the porcupine, by the way. When we got home, Steve Dallas forgot to take out the thing. And if I had a camera and I could have gotten a picture of Tyra's face when she saw Steve Denver walk off the plane, it was just confusion. What is that? Where did you go?